Welcome to your key discovery point. I am Brett Burney at Nextpoint, joined by Doug Austin of eDiscovery today. Doug, everyone likes a checklist. So I feel like, especially in the eDiscovery world, so that they can either follow along with some of the best practices, or maybe sometimes people like a checklist just to confirm that what they're doing is correct, right? Just to kind of compare, as it were. So I remember a few months ago, you and I actually met up at ILTACON, and you were on a panel with Ross Dubinsky, right, managing director at Harbor, where you discussed how to build a litigation response workflow checklist. Well, actually, you talked about several other checklists, which it was a great panel that you guys did. But you're even now providing some of those resources available right here in your post, and I appreciate you sharing.
The panel, as you can see in that second paragraph, was about building a litigation response playbook. And early on, very first meeting, we had discussed the idea that one of the things we wanted to do was provide a takeaway, which would be essentially a
Yeah.
litigation response playbook with as many resources as possible. And early on, we kind of said, well, hey, we've got some checklists and what have you that we can include. We can also, and we got permission to do this, reach out to folks and say, hey, can we use some of your checklists? So as you can see, as you've highlighted there, we've got several who contributed checklists and forms as part of the playbook, including Craig Ball, Nicole Gill, who wrote an excellent book on eDiscovery. Minerva
Right.
26 provided a good meet and confer. Elite Discovery provided a good collection checklist, and Nextpoint provided a good depot prep checklist.
Yeah.
So thanks to Nextpoint. So we put those all together into a playbook. One of the checklists that was one that I actually put together on my own for the session, and that was basically a sample litigation response workflow checklist. So what I really did was I just kind of started, a brainstorming of all the different phases and all the different tasks I could think of.
Right.
Really tried to break it out. I basically decided I wanted to put together something that would be reasonably comprehensive, that would take you through the entire life cycle for litigation, provide some flexibility to it and what have you, and came up with as many tasks as I could for each of the phases that you see there. The bullet points, everything from litigation hold notice, which really is often first, even before you start pulling the case team together, because you've got
Exactly.
anticipation of litigation, but all the way through the different processes, custodian interviews, preserving and collecting, ingesting, culling data, processing, doing things like keyword searching, predictive coding and TAR, review, responsive privilege issue coding, privilege login production, depot and trial prep activities, and case activities, and a postmortem at the end of the case. One of the things I did is I put together, like I said, as many tasks as I could think of for each of those. And then I even said, you know what, I'm going to hit up ChatGPT and see if it can think of any other tasks for these. And it came
Nice.
up with several that I was like, oh yeah, these will be good to include as well. So I put that all into essentially what is a 10-page PDF, designed to be broken out to each being able to be a separate page, that can then be a
Look at
checkable
that.
checklist.
Yeah.
And so that checkable checklist gives you the ability to check out individual items on the task list, as well as some placeholders for putting in additional items as well. And then, of course, you could also choose not, some may not be applicable. And as you can see there, I've really tried to put it so that each section starts on a new page, so you could break them, because not typically with some of these phases, different people are managing the phases. So
Right.
you might have it to where, whoever is managing the coding and review has got those pieces. The people who are managing things like collection and processing and ingestion, and you might have those pages. It might have the lead lawyers on the beginning case activities and the end case activities, and things like that, and maybe like the depo and trial prep stuff. So really just try to provide as many common tasks associated with each of these phases as possible that can hopefully give people just kind of kind of a reminder. Hey, these are things you need to be thinking about. They may not always apply in every case, but certainly things that if you're trying to make sure you're taking care of, doing privilege review and doing a privilege log and making sure your production is QC'd properly and so forth. As an example, on the page we're looking at here, you've got a list of tasks and you can say, yes, did I do this? Yes, did I do this? And so
Right.
forth. And
Well,
that's designed to be a resource that people can take and then, use and adapt to their own use.
and you do a good job in your post talking about the fact that you got to design it to your own use, right, Doug? I mean, these aren't necessarily set in stone. You must do every single one of these on there because every case is a little bit different and everybody kind of approaches it a little bit different depending on the kind of matter that it is and the individuals that are involved in this. But again, what I mentioned earlier, I mean, sometimes it's just good to have a general roadmap, right? Just to generally know, like, A, you're going in the right direction, and B, just in case you suspect maybe that you did forget something, you just need a list to compare it to. This, I think, is a fantastic resource that you put together, Doug, and I just appreciate it. I remember going to your ILTACON session, and it was really good to have both of you guys talk through some of these resources and when they would be helpful. And again, like I said, it's just great to have some of these resources available. And so much so, in fact, we know even at Nextpoint, a lot of our customers come to us asking for something similar. And we actually have a whole page at nextpoint.com/eDiscovery checklists. So you can go not only find the one that you had mentioned on Depo Prep, but we have a whole series of checklists on ESI protocols, meet and confers, data collection. It's almost similar. I think it would be a good sidekick to some of the things that you're doing, Doug. Yours is a very great high-level overview, and then you provide some additional steps in between, or those mini checklists, I think is what you called it as well. But this would be another good way to kind of go through and look at the different checklists on here as well. It's like an eDiscovery checklist bonanza here, Doug. I love all of these resources on this. Thanks for providing this.
You bet. Well, and thanks to Nextpoint for providing the Depo Prep checklist as part of our playbook and providing all the checklists that you all provide. To me, everybody's approach is different, but checklists and forms like this just enable you to kind of to document a defensible approach to discovery. And so, however you do it, this is a good example of an overall litigation support or litigation response workflow checklist. You've got several individual checklists breaking down the different pieces of the process that Nextpoint has provided, and really you just find the flow that works best for you and the form and checklist that works best for you. But it's good to have something where you've got those in place and you're saying, yes, we did these things. We can say we can sign off on them and we can defend our process if need be.
The key discovery point today: take advantage of the eDiscovery checklist bonanza. There's plenty of great resources out there, and these are an excellent place to start. Thanks as always for joining us, Doug, and we'll talk with you next time.
Thanks, Brett. Thanks, everybody.